I was walking in Kabukicho a few nights ago, neon dragons coiled up the buildings and salarymen spilling out of izakayas like they'd just escaped a board meeting, when I spotted the unassuming sign for Sod Land, glowing softly amidst the chaos. It's the legendary adult theme park from Soft On Demand, the AV giant that's been churning out smut fantasies since the 1990s. Shut down by police raids for dodging licenses, then reborn in 2023 with all the proper paperwork, complete with a revamped magic mirror room where you can sip highballs while chatting up the starlets themselves. No longer just a pixelated dream on screen, it's where the industry's polished pros mix drinks and small talk, turning late-night Kabukicho into a bridge between the mosaic blur and real-life allure, proving even Japan's wildest exports need a polite handshake to thrive. The Japanese AV industry is, well, it's gigantic, it's glittering, it's a $20 billion creature that somehow manages to be both the most professional adult film machine on Earth and the weirdest fever dream all at the same time. It churns out more than twice as many titles every year as the entire American porn industry combined, yet it feels nothing like its Western cousin. If you've ever read those tear-stained Vice or Guardian exposés about girls in the States being funneled into the business because of opioid habits, broken homes, or straight-up desperation, you'll notice something is missing when you look at the top tier of JAV, and that is the omnipresent cloud of self-destruction. Japan simply doesn't have a visible hard drug problem. The penalties are, in fact, medieval, and society still works like a very polite prison where everyone watches everyone else. And that's not to say, and it doesn't mean exploitation doesn't exist. Of course it does, especially in the shadier corners of soaplands, Delivery Health, and Scoutman agencies. But the girls who actually make it to the big mosaic studios and become household names are, more often than not, ambitious, sober, and terrifyingly business-minded. Many treat it like a 5-year sprint to buy an apartment building in Roppongi and then never have to work again. It's less rock bottom and more accelerated idle career with fewer clothes. Now, while Sodland had to get legitimate licenses to survive, NMN is fighting the exact same war against regulators who don't want you to have it on the cheap or over the counter. Europe banned NMN in 2022, not because it's unsafe, but because it works too well. Big Pharma is racing to turn it into a $3,000 plus drug, so they're trying to kill the cheap version. Harvard clinical trials prove that 1,000 milligrams of NMN daily safely doubles NAD levels, drops fat mass, cholesterol, and blood pressure, literally reversing metabolic aging. Harvard professor David Sinclair and top biohackers, you know the ones, have used it to slash biological age by decades.
Of the people that I know that look freakishly and unusually young for their age, that I have met in, say, the last 36 months, I cannot get over how many of them have told me that I'm on NAD and I'm on metformin. And I'm talking about visually, shockingly looking young people. Mainly people in their 50s that look like they could be in their 30s or early 40s to me. So when you say NAD, or are you speaking specifically about this precursor that you were referencing?
Well, what I believe doesn't so much matter, but the scientific evidence points to taking a supplement every day, a gram of NMN, which is this precursor, stands for nicotinamide mononucleotide for the aficionados. Just swallowing one of those, or 1,000 milligrams, is enough to double your NAD.
Rich tech billionaires are all in on it. They're not aging like the rest of us. Europeans are smuggling it like contraband. Right now in the US, it's still legal as a supplement. The FDA tried to ban it, but a judge ruled it unconstitutional. Black Forest's NMN is the GOAT. Made in the USA, GMP certified in an FDA-regulated facility, and they just dropped their biggest deal ever. Buy one, get one free, store-wide, no matter what you buy, plus an extra free bottle of NMN automatically added to every order, and you get a BOGO bottle. This is an insane 48-hour flash sale and it ends soon. So stock up now before Big Pharma locks it down for good. Your cells will thank you for it. And that ruthless professionalism shows in the numbers too. While actresses still dream of graduating to mainstream fame, Maria Ozawa, for example, became a legitimate celebrity in several Asian countries. And Sora Aoi, well, she has her own emoji line and does cooking shows. The men, however, have it much rougher. There are only an estimated 30 to 70 professional male performers keeping the entire industry erect, literally. New recruits are almost non-existent. The pay is decent, but the social stigma is brutal. Try explaining to your future mother-in-law that you spent the last decade as Ken Shimizu's understudy. Most of the guys quietly just disappear into normal salaryman life and never speak of it again. And speaking of men quietly disappearing, well, Japan has its own version of the celibacy crisis that's currently enveloping the West, only it comes with cute herbivore branding. They're called Soshoku Danshi, grass-eating men. And these guys are in their 20s and 30s and have more or less opted out of dating, sex, and sometimes even the idea of a girlfriend. A 2024 poll found that 60.5% of men aged 20 to 34 self-identified as grass eaters. It's not that they can't get dates, but many simply don't see the point when work crushes the soul, rent eats half of his salary, and marriage feels like signing up for a second full-time job that you don't particularly want. The result? Well, Japan is the world's second largest porn consumer. Hundreds of billions of yen flow into this fantasy because reality has become just too expensive and too exhausting. Which brings us to the eternal question every foreigner asks the first time they see a pixelated man's member doing things that would make an octopus blush. Why on earth does that hardest of hardcore still hide the last 2 centimeters? The short answer is that Japanese obscenity laws are less about protecting innocence and more about preserving a very specific kind of national face. Article 175 of the Penal Code has been around since 1907 and basically says genitals must be unrecognizable. Over the decades, unrecognizable evolved into holy mosaics. It's not prudishness in the American Puritan sense, it's theater. Everyone knows what's under the blur, just like everyone knows sumo wrestlers wear diapers under the belt. Pretending otherwise is part of the ritual. Japan invented tentacle erotica specifically to get around mammal genital laws in the 1980s, then spent the next 40 years building an entire erotic empire on the agreement that we'll all just squint politely together. The mosaic is the last fig leaf on a society that long ago stopped caring about fig leaves, but still enjoys the aesthetics of having one. Meanwhile, back at the studios, the big labels have gone full Louis Vuitton. 30 million yen debut packages, monthly notarized consent forms, and actresses treated like investment-grade handbags. Because of the 2022 coercion law, well, it scared off half the industry. The talent pool shrank dramatically, from maybe 18,000 active actresses pre-pandemic to around 4,000 or 5,000 today. The ones who remain, well, they're treated like K-pop trainees who just happen to take off their clothes. And many of the other girls who just don't want to have to deal with the corporate paperwork, well, they've simply caught flights to places like Cebu in the Philippines, setting up a ring of light on a balcony overlooking the sea and film whatever they'd like to. No mosaic, no middlemen, and all paid in cryptocurrency. The undisputed queen of this tropical exile scene, well, she's known simply as Mirai 2.0. Diehard fans swear that this is the same goddess who used to headline prestige titles, retired and then bought her freedom, and now drops crystal clear 90-minute masterpieces every fortnight like she's on some kind of erotic content calendar. And the niches, Now, the niches are having the time of their lives, and the undisputed champion of niches in 2025, and I'm not making this up, is tax office audit ASMR roleplay. And this is where a beautiful woman in a flawless suit, hair, and perfect bun sits 2 inches from the microphone and spends an hour whispering fictional tax violations while threatening to garnish your wages. The top title in this genre translates to something along the lines of National Tax Agency Special Investigation Division Midnight Home Visit. It sold enough copies to fund a small tax office of its own. A close runner-up is the Late Night Convenience Store Girlfriend series. Perfect replica 7-Elevens with fluorescent lights humming, actresses in little green uniforms restocking onigiri and whispering irashaimase, and doing things that would get the entire store purified by Shinto priests. With one quite interesting episode ending with the countdown clock to the morning manager's arrival. And then there's the retired idol pipeline running in reverse. Spend 5 years as a top actress, save your money, debut then as a cute idol unit, and you're suddenly on terrestrial TV singing about sparkling dreams while teenage girls wave light pens in perfect synchronization. The handshake events are pure cognitive dissonance. $300 for 10 seconds of holding the same hand that once, well, it would be holding other things in their film history or their filmography. And finally, because Japan never runs out of layers, there's the Wholesome Corner. 2-hour boyfriend experience titles with soft sunlight, cherry blossom petals drifting past the window, endless hand-holding, forehead kisses, and whispered, "I love you," while everyone stays fully clothed. The biggest studio in that genre, Silk Labo, literally advertises, "Love you can take home to meet mom." And this is in the same country that invented tentacle porn. The softest, sweetest fantasies are now some of the best-selling, strangely enough. So JAV in 2025 is a $20 billion mirror held up to a society that's overworked, undersexed, politely perverted, and still insisting on that tiny square of dancing pixels. Because some traditions are just too beautiful, or more likely, too absurd to let go. Japan is a weird place. It pixelates the tip, but never the imagination. And it turns bureaucracy into a form of foreplay, exhaustion into fantasy, and the daily grind into a multi-billion yen coping mechanism that most in the country pretend they don't need. However, Japan is still a beautifully absurd group of islands that looked desire straight in the eye, handed it a clipboard and a non-disclosure agreement, and still managed to make the whole world blush, salute, and then reach for the receipts. The night is young, the tax auditor is ovulating, and somewhere in Cebu, Mirai 2.0 just hit upload. Gambate, Japan. We in the West never stood a chance. So then, what do you think? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, check to see that you're still subscribed, and if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up on your way out. Also, remember to check out Black Forest's amazing 48-hour flash sale, where you buy one, get one free store-wide, no matter what you buy, plus an extra free bottle of NMN automatically added to every order. So with that, I hope to see you in the next video, and have a great day. Bye for now.